Hello everybody and welcome to the Sam Olawale channel. If you enjoy the content, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. So let's get cracking. Today I want to talk about something that most people didn't realize but know about, which is Steve and Apple. And when I tell you Apple and when I say the name Steve, it synonymously is linked with the legendary, the icon, the pioneering Steve Jobs. And he's someone that I look to for inspiration a lot because I invent my own products, I create my own products from scratch, and he's arguably one of the most pioneering, let's say, leaders when it comes to product development in the history of mankind. He's revolutionized how so many industries have evolved over time. It's actually phenomenal what he did. And when I say the word Steve, or say the name Steve, sorry, you instantly think Jobs. Everybody thinks Jobs. But I'm actually here to talk a little bit about the other Steve, because people don't realize there was actually two Steves at Apple. One was Jobs and one was Wozniak. Steve Wozniak was one of the founders of Apple. He was there at the very beginning. He was Steve's best friend. Well, I'm taking all of what I know about Steve Wozniak from the films I've watched about Apple. So I don't know their intimate details. I haven't read his book or anything like that. But he was definitely there at the start. He was one of the very founding members. From what I can see, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak were basically besties at the beginning of the whole process. If, Steve is unfortunately no longer with us now in his human journey. But when they started this whole thing, or before they started, I really got the impression that they were literally besties. So when we look at it like that, you have to understand that Steve Wozniak was absolutely foundational to what Apple ended up becoming. I think their relationship got a bit, let's say, a lot of friction happened as time went on. And I think when you grow to have such big businesses in the, hundreds of billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars even, it's going to happen. You're going to have, very tough conversations. You're going to fall out. Even I do it. We're nowhere near that level. And I fall out a lot with my business partners, with my friends in the business. Like, it happens. And you have really honest conversations. You want to kill each other. You want to tear each other apart for a period of time. But at the end of the day, your love and your friendship, is what conquers all. But going back to the point of making here is, there was two Steves. Two. And I want everyone to understand, because everybody wants to be the main man. Everyone wants to be the head honcho. Everybody wants to be the captain of the ship. But if you look at great football managers, if you look at great businesses, if you look at great leaders in general, all of them have phenomenal number twos. And there's nothing wrong with being a number two. To be honest, I see so many people who are trying to be entrepreneurs. They want to, take that step up and have their name in lights. And you can still have your name in lights as a number two, as a great number two, because it's really a forgotten position, because it's an 80-20 rule, right? But in a really, let's say it's the 80-20 rule, but pushed to the extreme. The number two gets literally crumbs of the highlight of the number one. I would probably say everybody on planet Earth, who knows a thing or two, knows the name Steve Jobs. Pretty much, I would say hardly anyone knows the name Steve Wozniak. And it's really the same in their worth. Jobs is worth, I think when he passed, he was worth like 10 or 11 billion. Wozniak now is worth around 100 million. Now, let's not get it twisted. This just proves my point. Wozniak being a phenomenal number two to a phenomenal number one, okay, he still ended up being worth 100 million bucks. Mike, how many of you out there would end up earning that level of wealth or be that successful? And was one of the most pioneering people to make the stuff that Steve orchestrated. And I think that's where a lot of friction came in their relationship. Obviously, if you know much about Steve Jobs, as a person, he was kind of an arsehole. He was kind of a dick. But yeah, as the man himself, the legend, as an inventor, as a creator, he was phenomenal. And he always classed himself as an orchestrator. He was a phenomenal orchestrator. He never actually was the best at writing code or designing products in and of himself. He's not there in the CAD drawings doing it. Like Elon Musk, he's very much an engineer by heart. And he wants to be, he wants to, if he's making bread, for example, Elon Musk has his hands kneading the bread. Whereas I kind of got the impression Steve Jobs was more of a director of chefs. Elon wants to, obviously Elon directs his chefs as well, but he's also there, getting his hands in the flour, patting the bread down, yada yada. Whereas Steve, he didn't, I think, do any of that at the end. He was the one who put all the pieces together, all the chefs together, and made sure when the bread came out the oven, it was perfect. And because of that, and because he was a great showman, he was very charismatic. Steve ended up being the guy who had his name in lights. But there's nothing wrong with being a great number two. Every great football manager on planet Earth also has a phenomenal number two and a phenomenal assistant manager. And when it comes to big business, sometimes people fail at business because it takes a lot to be a great business leader. It really does take a lot. You have to be so multifaceted, especially in the world of e-commerce, like we talk about a lot. You have to be so multifaceted. You not only have to be a T-shaped person, you have to be a capital T-shaped person. You have to be so good in so many ways. You have to be so on your game. Like, this is when you're trying to make hundreds of millions of dollars, like me personally, I'm trying to make hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. There's a complete different level of person you have to become. Like, who you are at 5 million is nowhere near who you are at 10 million. Who you are at 10 million is nowhere near who you are at 20 or 30 million. And I think well beyond that, the steps and the thought processes kind of go on. You get where this is going, right? So when you get to $1 billion, you're nowhere near the person who you were when you got to like 50 million. And I'm not talking about who you are inside as a person. Like, you are who you are before you got here, right? Your stripes are your stripes. But when it comes to your business brain and your entrepreneurial brain, that needs to evolve. Because I think another person I quote a lot on this channel is Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn is a phenomenal motivational speaker, one of I think the best. And he says, you don't go out and earn money. You don't get money. What you do is become a person worthy to attract wealth. And so it takes a lot to be that person. So some people fall short, okay, in one very key category. Someone could have, let's say in this example, you could need 10 key facets to be a world-class entrepreneur, world-class businessman that's going to make billions. Obviously, I think you need way more facets than 10, but let's say it's 10. From what I understand and from what I see in my experience, if you are, and let's say on these 10 things, you have to be a 10 out of 10 on all of them. If you're even a 7 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10 on one of them, it's an exponential drop. You basically fall to the floor. Your chances of being world-class fall to zero. And I feel that many people fall into that category. They're probably really, really good at 7 or 8 of those things, but they just fall short of the last hurdle to be a great number one. And I think so many people overlook being a phenomenal number two. Everyone's so busy trying to be Steve Jobs. There's no one out there trying to be Steve Wozniak. And I don't see why people don't try and aspire to be Woz. He's a great guy. He's super intelligent. He's absolutely pivotal to the success of Apple. And more and more people, I think, would find a really great lane trying to aspire to be a phenomenal number two. When I look at my business as I've evolved over time, in my business now, I basically have like 6 or 7 number twos in the business. I'm a very all-rounded person. I'm a multifaceted person. I'm a very good T-shaped person, right? But when I really grew in my business, when my business really took off, it's when I stopped doing so many things. And I became a mentor to my team rather than a dictator to my team. And I don't mean dictator in a bad word, as in do this, do that, do this, do that. Okay, you guys do this, you guys do that. Like, I can do all of that. But I've stopped doing that now. And since I've stopped doing that, it's really been the thing that's propelled my team to a whole new level. I mean, yes, I still step in sometimes and have to fix some fires, but I would say 95% of the things now I do not have to do, and I don't need to tell people what to do. I just mentor them, literally give my advice, hear what they have to say, We agree on the way to move forward together, and they go away and they do it. If there's something they need to learn, a new skill gap they need to fill, hey Sam, I need to learn this, I need to do this, here's the budget I need for it. If everything seems reasonable, I sign off, they go do it. Like, that's literally where I am with my team now, and I'm very, very proud of that. I'm nothing without my team, and I'm very, very proud of this. So in my business, I've got like amazing number twos. So there's nothing wrong with being a great number two if you can find to be that number two and propel a great number one. There really is nothing wrong with being a Steve Wozniak. So I just wanted to discuss this a little bit. You know, you don't necessarily have to so-called settle for second best. What you can do is go and find the very best person you can, someone who inspires you, who encourages you, something that you can see in that person that other people can't see, or seeing an idea that other people can't see. You know, so many people are trying to be entrepreneurs. I think too many people are trying to be entrepreneurs. Some people need to go back and get really good jobs and climb the corporate ladder. That's what's right for some people. Go find a phenomenal company to work for. Well, I'd caveat that a little bit, because I always tell people a lot, especially young people who are coming out of university or in their early 20s or mid 20s trying to learn entrepreneurship. Do you know what I always tell them? I say, don't start a business straight away. Go and get a job and basically work for a good 3, 4, 5 years and really learn the ropes at something you want to be good at. Find the area you want to work in, or you want to, let's say, become an entrepreneur in or build a business in. Go find a company that's doing that and go work there for a few years and really find your feet, right? And when you're looking to work for someone or somewhere, look for the boss. Find a phenomenal boss. The boss beats the company. Don't try and say, okay, I want to work for this company because they have a great name, it's going to look great on my CV. That's a waste of time. What you should be doing is screening to find the best manager or the best boss, and really ultimately the best leader you can work for. Find that leader and serve them to the best of your ability. Learn everything you can, soak it all up, and then that leader will end up being a great friend to you, probably for the rest of your life, and a mentor to you as well. So if you can do that and then go into entrepreneurship, great. If you can be a number one, great. But if you can't, go find someone who has a great plan, a great vision, a great product, a great mission. Get behind them, give it your all, get equity in the business by showing your worth, and that can lead you to having a really full, really happy life without you needing to be killing yourself or beating yourself down because you couldn't become Steve Jobs. There's also Steve Woz, and there's nothing wrong with being a Wozniak. Thanks for listening.